Hey guys, this is Jennifer Brave with Facets Relational Care, and today I'm going to be doing my video on advice for Enneagram Type 6 from other Enneagram Type 6s. Before we jump into that, I want to talk about the video for Type 5 that I wanted to do. After reviewing the information that I was sent, the best piece that I got was a narrative sent to me by a guy named Alexander DaCosta. And he was kind enough to let me share that with everybody. So if you guys want to read his Type 5 narrative, it's up for free. It's posted on my Patreon account. It's a narrative of what it's like to be a Type 5 in relation to other people on a one-to-one intimate level, in relation to the self, and then how he relates with just people in general. It is one of the most beautiful narratives that I've ever read. I'm not even a 5, and it nearly moved me to tears. So if you want something that gives you what I would consider to be the best possible understanding of Type 5, that would be a really great place to start. It's very well written, very beautiful, very concise, and I think it captures Type 5 perfectly, certainly much better than I could ever describe it. So go check that out. The link is going to be here on the screen and then in the bottom for those of you that want to look at it. And for the rest of you, if you're a 6, this is going to be a video about advice for Type 6 from other 6s. So the first piece of advice that I got was 6s need rest. They need rest because otherwise they tend to get really worked up and they freak out real easy and they worry a lot more. So as a 6, I completely agree with this. I have found that I've got to stop at some point and stop pushing myself and get some sort of rest, even if it's not physical rest. Being able to separate yourself from your responsibilities for a little while as a 6 is a really, really big deal, because when 6s get wrapped up in things that they're supposed to do, it starts getting your mind churning about what if this goes wrong, and what if this goes wrong, and what if that goes wrong. And it doesn't always sound like that in your head. 6s aren't necessarily always saying what if, or what if that goes wrong. The action for a 6 of constantly doing, getting lost in the responsibility cycle is based off of just this unconscious fear of what if that doesn't get done? I better get this done or something could happen. This has to get done. So there's kind of this underlying sense of urgency there. And so when 6s don't get enough rest, again, I think the focus is more mentally, but of course physically too, you can get into that cycle and start spinning faster and faster and faster and faster and get yourself really worked up, and then you get burnt out. And the problem with being burnt out as a 6 is when something does come up that does require a healthy degree of worry, you're already so frantic and frazzled and unraveled that you can't give it the logical attention that it needs, and you start to make decisions based out of exhaustion, and you make quick judgments, often that can make the problem worse than it would have been if you had been able to approach it from a more restful mind. So I completely agree with the rest suggestion. Another interesting suggestion that I got was art for 6s to find an artistic creative outlet. I myself write. I write short stories and poetry, and I journal a lot. And sometimes for a 6, fear can look a lot like pain, and it can look a lot like anger. And it's hard when you're a 6 to really pull those things apart, because when you're a 6, you're hurting and you're scared that you're going to keep hurting, or you've been hurt before and you're scared that you're going to get hurt again. And so sometimes pain or hurt or sadness can really be fear for a Type 6, or at least have fear kind of mixed in with it. Anger certainly is the same way. So I've always found when I have an extreme emotion, writing helps me. You've got to have some place to take not just that emotional energy, but you've got to get all of that chatter that's in your head, and you have to have a place to put it. So art's a really great idea. Painting, drawing, music, whatever it is that you can find to do, just something to get yourself out of your head, or get the chatter that's in your head out of your head so that you don't have to listen to it anymore. It's a great idea. Another suggestion I got was meditation. I think meditation is really good for everybody in general, but I recommend meditation a lot for the head types, types 5, 6, and 7, simply because being a head type, being in the head triad, means that you're up here absolutely all of the time. 5, 6s, and 7s have what I like to call chatter in the skull, you know, the constant talking. There's always some kind of thought with words that's happening up here. If it's not necessarily a thought with words, it's a very visual image. There's always something tangible inside of the head. They're never not thinking. With that being said, however, meditation, especially in the Western world, is sold as this idea of quieting the mind. And while having a quieter mind could be a byproduct of meditating, that's not the point of meditation. Meditation is learning simply how to be present in the moment. So you can have an active mind, but be active with what's right in front of you in that moment. Anxiety happens from living in the past or in the future. In other words, living someplace that's not the present. So for example, for SIXES, living in the past causes anxiety because we may say, well, this happened, this happened before, and this is what always happens, and so I should be scared about right now because that's what's always happened and it may happen again. And even that phrase, it may happen again, that's focused on the future. So that's worrying about things that we just make up. Now, and there's something to be said for statistics and for past experiences. I'm not saying that those things should be ignored, but currently what's in hand is what should be dealt with. You can use the wisdom of what's happened in the past, and you can use the wisdom that comes from trying to design a stable future, but the reality is the past and the future are just ideas in the head. They're not real. And so I always advise SIXES not to give too much credit to those things, because supposing something does go wrong, you already have everything that you need inside of you to survive it. So yes, there may have been a pattern for this in the past, but does the pattern matter when you know that you can handle or survive or find the strength or the inner guidance to get yourself through whatever it is that you fear happening again? No, it doesn't matter when you genuinely know that. Does the outcome in the future matter when you know that you are your own source of strength and inner guidance, and that you're going to be okay no matter what happens, even if you don't know how, but you will? No, the future doesn't matter, because the point isn't necessarily the outcome when you're a SIXE. The point is whether or not I can survive it. And so the answer is yes. So therefore, the past and the future are irrelevant. So meditation, again, is about focusing on just being present in the moment. It's not sitting lotus style, closing your eyes, chanting, although you can do those things if that's something that helps you, but be present in physically what you're doing. Again, make sure that you don't get lost in your head, because even then, if you're meditating in that style with the intent to clear your mind, you're taking a lot of mental energy to clear your mind. So in other words, you're still having that intense focus on something that's other than where the body is at and what's actually around you, the experience of what you're having. So just bear in mind, meditation is living in the moment and just paying attention to what is, the sights, the sounds, the smells, the feelings, the interactions that you're having, the experience, and what simply is right then and there, because it's all that you have and it's all that you ever have. So that type of meditation can greatly help with a SIXES anxiety. I know, because I practice it. I'm still try to practice it. Of course, it's hard to break 31 years of habitual thinking patterns, but it's been really helpful for me when I can just stop worrying about what's happened before and stop worrying about what I fear may happen next, and just deal with what's right in front of me one moment at a time. One phrase that helps me a lot as a SIXE, especially when I get into the whole, oh my God, there's this big giant looming problem, how am I ever going to get through this thing, is I'll always say to myself, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one bite at a time. So that's some advice that I would have for SIXES. It kind of ties into that whole meditation bit, because that's really what meditation is. You have your life, which is a giant elephant, but you can only eat it one bite at a time. So meditation is about learning how to eat your elephant one bite at a time, so to speak. Another piece of advice that I got was to see the bigger picture. Seeing the bigger picture can be helpful for SIXES if you're doing it in the right way. See, part of the problem with being a SIXE is we look at too much at once. Again, referencing the whole how do you eat an elephant thing, SIXES focus on the fact that there's an elephant. Yes, there's an elephant. But sometimes you need to put aside the fact that there's an elephant and just focus on your one bite at a time. So I would say that when we're talking about focusing on the bigger picture, put things into perspective of how important they really are. Think about life in general. Think about the universe. Imagine that you in all of your beauty and your wonder are still just this tiny little thing in the middle of all of that. Your life is like the blink of an eye. It's going to come and it's going to go. When you think about what life really is and the grand scale that it is, and where you're at in that scale, which is just this tiny, minute little thing, a little grain of sand in all of time and all of the universe. So much stuff just doesn't matter much anymore, you know? The SIXE who sent me that piece of advice specifically said that her idea of seeing the big picture is to remember that nothing lasts, nothing is forever. And that's true of good things and bad things. So for a SIXE, the good news there is all of the things that you're scared of, they're not going to last forever. And I think too, well, I don't think, I know because I am one, as a SIXE, really 99% of the time, the worst things that I suffer are just the anxiety and the anticipation in my mind of things that are to come, most of which don't ever actually happen. So the anxiety that I have, it doesn't last forever. It passes. And supposing that the things that I'm anxious about actually do come to pass, they don't last forever either. They go on. There's nothing that I've been through that, other than my heart beating and my lungs taking in and releasing air, has been with me for 31 years of life. You know what I mean? The situations change. It helps to, at least for me, and I know this sounds kind of morbid, but just the idea of death I have always found to be very comforting, because it's kind of like, no matter how bad things get, one day I'm gonna die and it's gonna be over. And that's not to say that I want to die, because I don't. But there's just this sense of peacefulness that comes with the fact that all of these problems that I have in life and all of these things that scare me, they're not forever. They're gonna go. I'll go on and I'll live my life, and then one day I'll die and I won't be here anymore. I'll go wherever it is we go when we die. And so we tend to make really big deals out of really small things. SIXES do. And I think being able to understand the things that we're anxious about from the perspective of the bigger picture in this way can be really, really helpful. It can help you to let go of that anxiety and let go of that need to control what's about to happen to you, because you have that revelation that it doesn't really matter anyway. Another suggestion that I got was making lists. So making lists when you're a SIXE is good, because SIXES, again, this kind of goes back to a point that I made at the beginning of the video. We get so wrapped up in doing things all day long. We get in that responsibility hamster wheel and our minds are racing like 200 miles an hour trying to do all of these different things. And then we get distracted because we see other things that have to get done. I know for me, when I don't have a to-do list, it is more anxiety producing for me, because I'll go throughout the day and I'll be telling myself, okay, I have to remember this. I can't forget this. Did I remember that? I don't remember if I did this. And then it never fails. I get to the end of every day and I've got however many things that were supposed to get done that didn't get done, and then I'm anxious about that, because then I'll say, okay, now I've got to add this on to my time tomorrow, and I already have a lot to do tomorrow, and I don't know if I'm going to have time to do that and this. Why didn't I just make a list? The ironic thing here for me is I've been doing this literally almost every day of my entire life since I started taking on adult responsibilities, and to this day I still don't make lists. Definitely start making lists. What it does is it just helps take some of that anxiety, that pressure off of you to have to remember every single thing that you're going to get done, which then saves you from freaking out later if you didn't get something done that you think is detrimental to something else. So I need to take that advice. A common theme that I've noticed behind all of those things is really just about quieting the mind. And again, that goes back to being in the head triad, so types 5, 6, and 7s. Head energy is what's going on absolutely all the time. Again, imagery is happening, actual words are being thought in the mind. So the lessening of anxiety for types 5, 6, and 7s occur when they can quiet the mind. And I really don't even like saying quiet the mind. I mean, that is what it is, but I really prefer to say being present in the moment. And being present in the moment comes with a degree of quieting the mind, but more so it's just about taking the mind and focusing it on the right place, so that the energy that you're expending is going towards living your life and not reliving something that's already happened and trying to live something that hasn't happened yet. Sixes, you know, I feel sorry for us. I really do, myself included. I don't know that we actually live. I can tell you with 100% certainty that I spend so much time mentally in the past in things that have already happened to me, and in the future in things that I'm scared might happen to me. I so very rarely actually enjoy the moment that I'm in. And this is true of all sixes, especially sixes that are not aware that they're type 6, they're kind of asleep to the self, or sixes that just haven't really kind of learned to integrate yet. And that's one of the things that when we talk about sixes integrating to type 9, this has a lot to do with that. So when a 6 integrates to type 9, it's learning to be present in the moment. 9s aren't people that rehash the past and worry about, well, what if this happens again? They're not people that are constantly putting together puzzle pieces about a future that may or may not be. They're just kind of in the moment. They go with the flow. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? 6 is when we integrate. It's about coming to that place where we can be fully present with the self. I have found for me that learning how to be in tune with my body and how I'm physically feeling, the stimuli that I'm taking in, sounds I'm hearing, sights I'm seeing, smells, tastes, feelings, all at one time. Body scan meditations are really, really helpful for me because they completely pull me out of my head and force me to just focus on sensations in the body. That's really helpful for me. It grounds me, kind of gets me into the moment, slows my brain down a little bit. But that's what we're talking about for type 6 when we're talking about integrating to type 9. There are a variety of other facets that go into type 6 integrating to type 9 as well, but that's a really, really big factor. And a lot of the suggestions that I got that's in this video today have to do more with that part of integration that is about being present in the moment and quieting the mind and then refocusing it to be active only in the present moment. Much easier said than done. But anyways, that is the advice that we got from the 6s, and I absolutely love it. So anyways, I'll leave the comments open if you're a 6 and you want to start like a little 6 support group. God knows we need one. Comments are open. You guys can throw in some additional ideas if you have things, if you're a 6 that you do that really help you that maybe I didn't mention, or just some other thoughts or feedback you can put in there for other 6s to come and read. So yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Thanks. You thought I was done. Yeah, no. I did want to let you guys know too, I offer life coaching sessions based on Enneagram and Myers-Briggs. I am a certified life coach. I specialize, of course, in those two instruments. I did my undergrad in psychology with an emphasis in personality theory. I got certified as a Myers-Briggs practitioner through the Myers-Briggs Foundation, and then I've also got a lot of experience with the Enneagram as well, some training there. I've got a website typically that you could visit, but it's down right now. So if you have any questions, if you want to do any life coaching sessions, I cover a variety of different topics, literally every single thing that you can think of. I've had people come to me with all sorts of different things, and then if there's something that you bring to me that I can't help you with, I can reference you to someone that can, maybe not a particular person, but a particular specialist that you might want to look up. So if that's something that you're interested in, or if you just have questions, I have got my email address and my phone number listed on the screen right now. So feel free to send me a text message or an email, and then I'll respond to you and I'll get you a link to my scheduler and we can get everything set up and we'll go from there. Thanks.